Hey guys, and down here this is going to be my chapter review to Nanatsu no Taizai, or the Seven Deadly Sins 292, Manifestation of Nightmares, Return of Hope. Now this chapter was, it was epic. I enjoyed it. I hated the last chapter, thought it was turd. I mean, like, I've argued with this case, like, with multiple people in the comment section of my videos, of like podcasts and stuff like that, in terms of what happened last chapter. But this chapter more or less kind of fixed what happened, but it doesn't actually negate the fact that what happened. So it still makes last chapter shit. It's just that this chapter kind of allows us to forget that for a moment. So what do we get this chapter? And I don't even have like any bullet points or anything like that. I'm just going to go through the chapter, which is probably a very dangerous thing to do, because I actually need to get to a meeting later on today, and it's already 5 p.m. But yeah, so I'll try and get through the main points of this chapter, and it's essentially what we even covered in Grim Reaper's podcast. So check out the Boar's Hat on Grim Reaper's channel, and you'll probably see a lot of our off-the-cuff opinions, but this is going to be my official review of this chapter. So so the first thing we see is Cusack getting his ass tortured by Merlin, and some people viewed it as being uncharacteristic of Merlin. Like, would she really go ahead and, like, because she's like, this is some insane level of torture. Like, they've got these, like, she's got these memory snake wraith things that are just biting off chunks. Like, literally, they're biting off the limbs. They've bitten off the limbs of Cusack, and he's there bleeding his ass off. He's missing both his arms, both his legs, and she's like, oh, I'm surprised you haven't gone mad with all the pain and stuff like that. I'm like, yo, bitch, you crazy. But I fully think it's within Merlin's capacity, you know, being that kind of cynical, kind of, what are the words are there for this? She's cynical. She's very curious to see the makeup and the biology of things, and how they consist, what they consist of. But also, she's got this very dark side to her, which is she's lost Arthur, so now she's like, you have to feel the pain that I felt. So she's mutilating him, essentially. So she does always have this kind of Jack the Ripper vibe, this very psychopathic nature to her. It's just kept under wraps by her pursuing usually quite humane things most of the time. In this situation, with her wrath kind of coming to the fore, and her very cynical nature coming to the fore, you see the other side of it. So Cusack's there like, yo, shit, if I don't get back to my body soon, I am screwed. And then this monster's gonna wreck like Zeldris and Chandler and stuff like that. But then what happens is we have Merlin flinch, and we realize that everyone's memories of Mael are coming back. So Cusack uses this as an opportunity to get his ass out of there, and he dips. So Escanor's there like asking Merlin what the hell's going on, and we then see kind of if the chapter loads. Okay, it doesn't want to. Okay, there we go. So we then see what is Reduciel in Margaret's body doing some weird freaking bridge shape thing in response to receiving these memories. Obviously being the worst affected, which is what we find out in this chapter, based on how well you knew Mael. So how close you were to Mael is directly proportional to how badly affected you are by the memories returning. Once again, Margaret's cup size exponentially increased. Let's not talk about that, though. That's got nothing to do with the story. So we see Hendrickson, we see, what's his name? Yeah, it is Hendrickson. We see him continuing to heal, or attempt to heal, Gilthunder. And as all this is going on, Reduciel's memory comes back. He realizes that Estarossa is in actual fact Mael. And then we get Gilthunder actually return to action. Not a big plot point. I mean, like, Gilthunder's been pretty useless so far. You can say what you want, but that's the truth of it. Hendrickson looks pretty drained by this, and I assume he's been like pouring his life essentially into saving Gilthunder. So maybe it looks like it's had a properly negative effect on Hendrickson, whatever he did to Gilthunder, because he wasn't able to heal him at first. Escanor, who was told to go and retrieve Rita, has reassumed his day form just because he's holding on to Rita, and he says the sun that was charged in Rita has given him the ability to turn back to his day form. So this is the reason why Merlin was so adamant about the fact that he should go and retrieve Rita. So this is something we've kind of seen before, back in the tournament of Vizel and stuff like that, when he fought against Gloxinia and Dolor. And he kind of viewed Merlin as his son. He was holding Rita, some shit, and then he became Escanor again. So, or the day form again. So we had a whole discussion about this. I'm not too sure what this is, whether it's latent heat in Rita, whether it's just latent, whether it's just the magic stored in Rita is enough to transform him into this day form, but it doesn't look like it's solely related to time of day. He can use the charged magic, I feel, within Rita to assume his day form again. So it might even be that his day form and his lesser form have separate magics entirely, so that if he's infused with his day form's magical type, he becomes his day form. So maybe it's his response to that or something. Now, he's assumed his form, he's reassumed this form, but then we have the three demons who have completely recovered. Now, I thought this was quite weird because Cusack and Chandler, they might have recovered, because Cusack and Chandler were the last. Were not the last to be attacked. They had some time, because then Zeldris was attacked last, I think, by Reduciel. So Zeldris should have had the least amount of time to recover, but he's recovered slightly faster than the other two demons, and I was like, but maybe he took less damage than them, even though he did get insanely fingered by Escanor. But then again, he also had more time in between that to heal, while the other two demons, Cusack and Chandler, were dealing with everyone else. So whatever the case is, they've all healed, and they're getting ready to start round 2. Zeldris looking dope as shit. So Merlin's like, now she's concerned. She's like, shit, like, these guys have recovered. This is gonna be a deep situation. Reduciel's still like shitting bricks, and Merlin escapes that Mael is actually Estarossa and Estarossa is Mael. So Cusack's happy, but he's like, but he's not happy. He's like, oh, this explains that uneasy feeling I always received around Estarossa, but now it's finally been cleared. I feel like I've been relieved of something. And then he kind of makes a passing comment towards Galtha, the original Galtha, saying something along the lines of, to think that you manufactured Mael into Estarossa to get the Goddess clan to create this coffin of everlasting darkness. We see Reduciel crying now, obviously severely affected by the return of this memory. And yeah, I think this is where he makes mention of the fact that it seems that whoever was closer to Mael received the memories in a different way, so they're more shaken by it. So people react to the news that Estarossa is Mael and Mael is Estarossa. Zeldris doesn't seem to give too much of a shit. He's like, I never really looked up to Estarossa as a brother, so he wasn't ever really that close to me, so it's not something that affects me. Now, Zeldris is someone who can conceal his emotions really well, but this might just be one of those things where, even though he jumped into Cruel Sun to save Estarossa, this might be one of those things where he generally doesn't really care too much. He cared that he couldn't let his brother die, but he doesn't care that his brother isn't his brother. They're kind of separate things. He couldn't let his brother die just because he's my brother. My dad will kick my ass if I let my brother die, or something like that. Or, as my brother, I cannot let him die. But then once he found out he's not his brother, he's just then that makes this kind of uneasy feeling that I've had around him easier to accept. And also, you have to remember that he was more or less, I think, raised by Cusack, who had an uneasy feeling towards Estarossa anyway. So I think that would have rubbed off on Zeldris too. We then get kind of this stare down where Escanor and Merlin are looking over at the three demons, and they're returning their gaze. But Chandler and Cusack once again say, nah, you know what, we'll take care of this. Zeldris, you stay away, because we want you to fight the 7 deadly sins. This is something that we must do. This is our duty. So they tap their blackened sword and their staffs together, no euphemisms, and suddenly, like, that's their fusion dance. And even Zeldris is like, yo, what the shit is going on? And I was like, oh my god, someone mentioned this on my channel, on my last review. Go read their comment, whatever it was, because he mentions that these two were the same, like, part of the same being. And I was like, come on, really? Like, I was like, his reasoning sounded legit, but I was like, nah, I really don't think they're going to be part of the same being. And then they proceed to be part of the same being. So we get a kind of a backstory. Once long ago, in order for the Demon King to rule, he created one certain demon, and he named it the original demon. And essentially, this is the demon that the Demon King used to kind of conquer the demon realm and gain control over the demon realm, and it became his most trusted retainer. But this demon thought, nah, I'm not about that life. I'm going to rebel against the Demon King. So he started a rebellion against the Demon King and lost, and once he lost, he was given a great punishment. Essentially, his body and soul was split into two, and he was given a duty. He was given two separate duties based on his two different bodies and souls now, and they were told to raise the Demon Kings, or to become instructors to the Demon King's kids, Meliodas and Zeldris, and see who would become the candidate for the next Demon King. So Zeldris is completely unaware of this. He's like, yo, shit, I had no idea, which is a good thing, because it's not something his dad would have ever brought up to him. His dad doesn't seem to really talk too much about that. But it's also something that Cusack and Chandler wouldn't have brought up either, because it's just not something they would say. So we have Cusack saying to Zeldris, this is my request to you, and he doesn't actually tell us what his request is. I assume he says something about becoming the Demon King, because that's exactly what Chandler says. He's looking up and he says, Master Meliodas, you must become Demon King. So I assume those words were echoed by Cusack to Zeldris. So then, as we see this kind of flash of light and Escanor's hair flying back and Merlin looking hot, we see the cocoon of darkness around Camelot explode, and I just went a page too far. It explodes, and so it couldn't contain the power of this demon, who they've become, the original demon. Escanor is like, oh my god, this is crazy, and Merlin's now sweating. She's like, oh shit, I don't want to see this guy. So we see the silhouette, and then we get a double page. Actually, we don't even get a double page. We see what the original demon looks like, and he looks pretty crazy. He's a centaur, essentially, only his bottom half isn't really that of a horse per se. It's more of a it's a four-legged creature for sure, but it's got lionish paws. It's got some weird ass tails, some black Venus vein looking thing going on. It looks weird as shit, but his upper body, 4 arms now. Two holding the blackened swords of Cusack, one holding the staff, which the top part seems to have exploded off, maybe suggesting a breaking of barriers or a breaking of limits. He's got this awesome armor with some upward curving shoulder plates or something. I'm not even sure what they are, which seem to be a different tone to the rest of his armor. So if his armor is black, the rest of that kind of shoulder plates are white or pale or something like that. They look awesome. And then he's carrying a shield, which a lot of in the podcast you'll see someone mention, I think it might have been Grieva or Naya, mentioning something along the lines of, if there was a kind of some sort of foreshadowing of this shield merging together, so if they each had half or bits and pieces of the shield somewhere around their bodies, and then we saw the shield kind of form as they merged, that would have been better. And I agree with them. It just seems to have come out of nowhere. They also mentioned something along the lines of the fact that this horseman, this original demon, looks nothing like either Cusack or Chandler, which I agree with. I mean, he looks nothing like either of them, apart from the fact that he's got that Hellblaze hair, which is black, which was essentially Chandler, and he's got the white beard, which is Cusack, with his whitened hair. So apart from that, they really don't look anything alike. But upon seeing this, Merlin essentially just says, he says, I'm the sinner, the original demon. Zeldris is there what the frick is this? And everyone else is shitting bricks. And Merlin, she states here, as of now, we've lost. There ain't no way we're making it out of this alive unless someone comes and helps us. And then we have someone coming and helping them. So we go back, we see the trees blowing apart and shit like that. This is how strong the original demon is. Miles and miles away, there's reactionary, their reactionary occurrences to him being present in the world. So trees being blown off, the sky is flying away, the freaking ocean is the tides receding and stuff like that. And you see Diane's booty just chilling in that panel, and yet you have Elizabeth saying, we need to hurry now, shit's about to go down, I can feel something's about to go down. And you see even King, he's like, yeah, I can feel Merlin and Escanor's magic as well, we need to get there. As that happens, we have Hawk's eyes suddenly shine with the light of purgatory, and our main man, our boy Bon, returns to the world of the living, and he looks awesome as usual. King is there smiling with his new Elvis hairstyle, and I'm like, I wouldn't smile with those eyes, that face, at a half-naked dude. And essentially Bon's return. So Bon, I think, is going to be pivotal. He's going to be key to knocking the shit out of this original demon. With Ban's abilities, having fought against the Demon King for like however many years, he is the most key factor in this whole thing. And he's going to be the thing that wins the fight for them, because even though he shouldn't be as strong as the Demon King, and he won't be as strong as the original demon, his ability to now drain power possibly way beyond any capacity that we can think of. He could probably drain a lot of the Demon King's power if he was given the chance to, without the god ability. So Ban's gonna like drain the shit out of the original demon, and then they can all just pile on. Escano can go on him. King can just go in. I mean, like, King seems to be OP as shit. Merlin can do her thing. So really, even though the original demon is here, I don't see him surviving too long. I mean, like, it should take a long while for Ban and the rest of them to get there. But once they do, it's curtains closed for the original demon. So I'm hype he's here, but I know he's not going to be here for too long. That's just how I'm calling it. Let me know what you guys think of this chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in a bit.